So if you're wanting to live, and this is something else I tell people, sometimes if you want to live in a certain neighborhood or a certain part of town, it's worth checking on the dividing borders, because sometimes, like an example, J-Town, a lot of people want to live in J-Town, but you might be able to find something in Butchell that's not too far from J-Town that may be less tax-wise, because that's something you also have to think about. Because if you buy a house that's $250,000 and the taxes for that house is, say, $1,200 a year, well, that's $100 a month in taxes alone. But that doesn't change the fact that when you come to that closing table, you're going to need a full year of taxes. So when you're looking at this in your mind, you're like, my taxes is just, it's just $100 a month. True. But before you get your keys, you're going to pay a year up front. So the question I get often is, what are my closing costs going to be? Well, your closing costs can vary because that consists of a couple of different things. So it can be anywhere from, say, $3,000 to $6,000, depending on where your house falls. So you have the cost to do the loan, you're going to have your prepay on your taxes, and then you're also going to have your prepay on your insurance. So when you kind of add these different things up, so say if, your down payment, you might need $4,000 for your down payment, inspection and appraisal costs, I should say that's $1,200. So at this point, you're already at $5,200. I told you how to save 10, okay? So at $5,200, you should have enough for closing costs left over. Now, is there a way to get around closing costs? Yes. You can ask the seller to pay the closing cost. Some sellers anticipate, or they have anticipated, that you may ask for closing costs. Now, you can be bold and say, I want the whole $6,000, okay? I need all my closing costs. They might not give you that. So if they don't give you that, or if they come back and say, well, you know what, I can't do $6,000 in closing costs, but I'll do $4,000. So I'll give you $4,000 in closing costs. That still leaves another $2,000 that you got to come up with. So if you were already at $5,200 between your down payment, inspection, and appraisal, and you got the seller and you have these $6,000 closing costs, the seller is going to pay $4,000. Well, now you need $7,200 to come up with. And that number is typically a lot different than the number your lender tells you in the beginning. Your lender may in the beginning tell you, oh, you're going to need, 3.5% down. Yep. Cool. What about everything else? So make sure you're kind of investigating these things with your realtor. Okay? As your realtor, we can tell you what your estimated taxes are going to be. Now, is it 100% accurate? Probably not, because taxes tend to go up every year, but we can tell you what the taxes were the prior year. Okay? Because you may not be looking at a huge significant jump where if taxes were say if taxes were $1,200, they're going to jump up to $2,400. They might go from $1,200 to, say, $1,400, and you're now dividing that over 12 months. So keep in mind the money that you're going to have to pay after the fact and to get your keys, because if you're paying taxes up front, well, $1,200 up front on taxes. That's a bit much compared to if I found a house that was a few blocks over, but the taxes for that house is $700. Well, I can probably afford this $700 a lot better than this $1,200. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, does it mean that if you don't have $10K in the bank, you can't buy a home? No, it doesn't. Okay, you can still go out here, because I have helped clients buy homes and worked with them to show them how to buy homes with minimal money down. But if you want to put yourself and truly put yourself in a nice competitive position, it is best to have a lot of this money already saved up. Because let's go to our $250,000 home here, okay? I know my home is worth $250,000. My realtor has confirmed it. I know it's going to appraise for it, right? But you came to me and you said, well, I got my down payment. I can pay my appraisal costs and things like that. But I need $5,000 in closing costs, okay? Let's go with this. Let's run this scenario through, okay? House is $250,000. You need $5,000 in closing costs. Now, you come to me and you say, well, I don't think your house is worth $250,000. I want to give you $240,000 for your house, and I want $5,000 in closing costs. Okay. Now, let's really run the math on this. Okay. I want my house at $250,000. Okay. You came to me and said you want to give me $240,000. So that's already $10,000 less than what I actually want for my house. And then on top of that, you come in and you tell me you want $5,000 back. Okay, so now you're telling me I'm only gonna walk away with $235,000. And out of that $235,000, I not only, as the seller, have to pay my realtor, I have to pay your realtor too. Chances are I'm gonna tell you no. Okay? No, I'm just not gonna do it. Because especially if my house is worth $250,000 or even close to $250,000, at that point you're asking me to take a $15,000 cut off of my home. Okay? $15,000. Okay? Not including what I gotta pay everybody else. So really, you're asking me to lose, just say, $25,000. Because I gotta go pay 2 people. Not a good deal. I'm going to tell you no, and your offer will be rejected. And if it's a home you really, really like, don't let your offer be rejected because you're trying to come out of this and lowball them. Now, if you came to someone and you said, we're going to still play with this $250,000 home. But if you came to me and said, I want to give you $240,000 for your home, I don't need any closing costs. I just don't think it's worth $250,000. Well, this is a different conversation. Because yes, I think my house is worth $250,000. You told me it's worth $240,000. Well, I can come to you back and say, well, I want $245,000. Right? Now, go back to the $240,000. Now, at that point, I'm only losing $10,000 on what I think my house is worth, and I still got to pay these other people. Cool, don't care. But I might want to try to get a little bit. Okay? So I might say $245,000. Well, if I came back at $245,000, at that point, you could come back and say, well, I'll give you $240,000, or I'll give you the $245,000, but I need $5,000 in closing costs. So what that means is that as the seller, I'm only coming out. I'm still, at the end of the day, you're still technically getting your house for $240,000. I'm losing it. I'm losing the $5,000 because I have to give it back to you. So when you're positioning yourself, especially with the way that the market has been the past few months, where homes are on the market for a day or 2 days or 3 days, that concept of back and forth is not out there like it was. So if the house is it's been on the market for a day or 2 and it's already 20 people lined up outside waiting to look at this house. So you pull up to look at it, it's 20 people out there. You have to be competitive. Now, as your trusted real estate advisor, I'll tell you, you need to be competitive. Like, you can't lowball at this point because you have too much other competition. That concept of back and forth of going back and forth and negotiating back and forth. It's not a dead concept. It's just something that's not really happening currently because you have more buyers than you do sellers right now. Okay. This morning, when I checked the MLS, there were 1,670 listings on the market. Sounds like a lot, right? Just a few months ago, it's about 1,800. So the market is dwindling, and the homes that are still there are homes that have probably been sitting a lot longer. Not to say new homes are not coming on the market, because it's the economy and people are adjusting to our new normal. People are trying to get back out there. They're trying to figure out how to navigate this real estate market that we have. But if your realtor tells you that the absorption rate, which is how fast homes are coming off the market, if they tell you that, homes are really flying off, trust them. They know. I've had clients that have been heartbroken because they really liked the house. They really, really, really wanted this house. My client really wanted it to be, I don't want to say frugal, but my client wanted to come out with the least amount of money possible. It's cool. You can do that. And I've made it clear, I'll always make it clear, I think their offer might get rejected if this is what you come up with. And it's not a matter of me wanting you to buy the house so that I get a check. No, I'm just telling you, I don't want you to be heartbroken. Because the house thing is your thing. This is your dream. I'm helping you facilitate your dream and get there. But trust your realtor. Our goal is honestly to make sure you get into a great home that you love, and you loved working with us during the process. Because if you loved working with us, you will tell other people you loved working with us. That's how I feed my family. I don't feed it, whether you buy this house or not, my family will eat. Okay? But my job is to make sure you're happy with your purchase and you get the home that you really like. Okay? Not the home you're settling for. So when we're planning this and you're asking yourself, or you're telling your kids like, man, I really want to get a house this year. Like, y'all, I'm gonna get y'all this house. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you are ready. Make sure you have your down payment together. Make sure you're ready for inspection costs. And make sure you're ready for closing costs. And when I say that you have to be ready, this is not ready like I need 2 more weeks to get paid type of ready. Because when this wheel starts going, like when you have a contract, think of it like this. You have a contract, you're trying to get out of your apartment or wherever your current living situation is. And if you want to get out of that, you want to have something that ensures that you're going to get there on time. Okay? You're trying to get out of your house. You got until the end of July to get out of your house, and it's already June 20th. You need to make sure that things are moving on time. You need to make sure that things are running smoothly. So if the contract says you need to be able to close in 30, 45 days, you need to be able to make that happen. So you can't wait a whole lot of check or pay periods to get these small things done. You need to have the money ready and ready to go. Stay tuned. If you all have questions, comments, go ahead and leave them below. If you're interested in a home in the Louisville area, hit me up. My website is below. And peace out. Hear from y'all soon.